Is that a new
I hope
camera?
so.
Is that a new
You
camera, new
can't.
mic?
New camera, same mic, new stand, new computer. Let's fucking go 2022.
2022. And I'm here in Austin, 6th in Congress at the Bitcoin Commons in the new TFTC studio. Very bare bones right now. As you can see, we have some sound wall behind us. We're going to clean it up to get it all chopped up. Carr is confirming, Matt, that your video looks good uh, outside
Sweet.
here. So we're live. We're going. 2022. We're stepping it up. It's January, let's say 19th,
Yeah,
20th.
20th.
20th. We're moved into the new studio. It's happening quick. We're gonna get. I'm going to Round Top, Texas tomorrow to a big antique fair. I have to drive like an hour and a half to this big antique fair. We're gonna try and furnish this thing, make it look good. I'm excited. I did like a christening rip with Lisa Nighet from Blockstream this morning. She is.
Oh, I love Nifty. She's fucking fantastic.
She really is fantastic. One of the easiest conversations I've ever had on this podcast. She's very bubbly, very smart, incredibly good conversationalist. I think we're lucky to have her working in the Bitcoin space.
100%.
Yeah,
Grateful for Nifty and the countless other open source contributors we have working to build out the Bitcoin protocol. Without them, and the full ecosystem in general, just like without them, we would literally have nothing.
you'll be happy to know she got an OpenSats shill in too. OpenSats got some
I'd
tick.
expect. I was about to put in an OpenSats show, but yes, I'm very grateful that she's on the board of OpenSats with me, and hopefully we should be publicly launching very very soon. We do have our 501c3 tax deductible status already, which
You guys
is
got good
quicker than I
stickers. I
expected.
like the stickers.
Yeah, stickers are important in the Bitcoin space. People like stickers.
They really are. But yeah, maybe it's a good first topic, not even on the list. Don't put them on your phones and your laptops, especially if you're traveling. Did you see that
Yeah,
going
I
around
mean,
this week?
definitely if it says Bitcoin on it, that doesn't say Bitcoin on it, right? It's just
No, just
OpenSats.
OpenSats. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna know what OpenSats means for like another 5 years.
until it's like just one of the biggest open source development funds in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then don't put it on your laptop.
But that's like, seriously, don't put this Bitcoin sticker stuff on your laptops and your phones. There was a video of a woman who got stopped by customs in the U.S. because they saw that she had a Bitcoin.com sticker. Brutal for her in many regards.
Are you sure they didn't do it because it was like a horrible website?
I mean, maybe there was a maximalist at the at customs. He's like, all right, I just need to give her a little hard time for the Bitcoin. I think no, I don't think the I don't think the guard at customs knew that Bitcoin.com is run by somebody who's not really pro Bitcoin anymore.
There's some argument to be made that a Bitcoin.com sticker is not actually a Bitcoin sticker, but I'm assuming that
It's a Bitcoin
argument
Cash
didn't
sticker.
fly with the didn't fly
Yeah,
with the customs people. Wait, so what happened here? I missed this. I didn't see it. She was flying. She
she's
was
so the
non-American coming into America.
she's no, she's American coming back to America, going through customs. They see the Bitcoin.com sticker on her phone and they ask her, like, are you carrying Bitcoin? Like, we'd like to check your phone for that. And luckily for her, she's a lawyer and she pulled out some lawyer speak, was like, no, you can't do that. But civil asset forfeiture
Yeah.
is a thing. Bitcoin is cash. This is a weird thing too, though, is, I mean, yes, you can have wallets that are signing devices on your phone. You can have apps like Blue Wallet, it's essentially a signing device, but like the Bitcoin technically
Yeah, they don't
isn't
care.
on the wallet. It's on the ledger, which you can't
They don't
really.
care.
I know, but this is where, like,
It's going to become a problem. It's a problem that I've expected for a long time. Well, first of all, if you go through customs or TSA or whatever, you have absolutely no rights. I mean, maybe you have some rights. I'm not a lawyer, but you should operate under the assumption that you have absolutely no rights. And you should not be carrying anything that you don't want taken or searched. That should be your expectation. Obviously, we joke around, but you shouldn't have anything that's labeled Bitcoin or says anything Bitcoin related. Um, as governments start to become more aware of Bitcoin, this is going to become a bigger issue because you know a lot of countries have rules where you're not allowed to travel with more than $10,000. And that's in the quote unquote free world. Obviously, authoritarians have even stricter rules in terms of moving wealth around. So I expect Bitcoiners to be targeted. It's one of my biggest regrets about being a public facing Bitcoiner. It's something that I've expected going through security and customs for years now on myself, and it hasn't happened yet, fortunately, but I expect it to be inevitable. And actually, one of the things I do is I have an I have a Trezor T, the original Trezor, which is like a hardware wallet I don't think anyone should use because it's outdated and insecure from physical tampering. But Casa sent me a free one when I was testing their service. So I still have it in the box, and I keep it in my travel bag because I'm just curious. I want to like know when the security knows to look for it, right? And
Yeah.
no one's ever called me out on it yet. And I've been traveling a bunch, so.
I had actually when I was coming back from Nashville last month or December, last month after the what is it, Nashbit, BitNet,
Nash Bitcoiners,
Nash Bitcoiners meetup,
Nabbit.
and I had for asking a good question during the meetup on one of the panels. I was gifted an open dime, and I went through the airport. I forgot I had it in my pocket. I wore the same pants 2 days in a row, and then I'm going through security and have to like hastily throw this open dime that was funded, because remember I funded it on the live RHR that we did,
Right.
and so I had that in customs, and I go through customs, or not customs, TSA security, and I'm walking to my gate, and I notice, oh shit, I forgot my open dime, so I had to run back to security.
You left it in the tray?
Yeah, it was in the tray, and then I was like, oh, I left something here, and the guy was like, what? And he like saw the open dime and he handed it to me. He's like, "What is this?" I was like, "USB stick."
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah.
the nice thing about open dimes. They look like USB drives.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, but if I was a TSA, that's like the perfect thing. Like, you see an untouched open dime, you just put that in your pocket. Like, oh, nope, you lost it.
Yeah, except that like we're surveilled a shit ton going through airports, but the TSA sheep are like they're all on camera stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like my lady left her laptop once, and we went back like a half an hour later, and it was still there. And they're on like a million cameras. They don't want to lose their job over it.
Yeah. It's expect to get harassed at TSA checkpoints and customs checkpoints, freaks. That's like when we did have merch, and we will bring merch back probably at some point in the future. We try to make it so that it's not obvious that we're a Bitcoin show or a Bitcoin associated company, so that if you are wearing our merch, you're not getting harassed in public. That's going to become more of a thing. It's a shame, but I would expect it moving forward.
This is just like an intermediary. I mean, eventually everyone is going to be a Bitcoiner, right? So
yeah, be aware, freaks. Be aware. Start off with that public service announcement. It just popped to my head.
That wasn't on my radar at all, so thank you.
Yeah. No, well, if somebody in the comments has seen the video, wants to post the link, maybe we could pull it up in a bit. Going to Clark's dashboard, the price of Bitcoin right now is $43,005. One cuck buck's going to get you 2,325 sats. Current market cap of Bitcoin is 814.3 billion. Cuck bucks, we are at block height 719,670. We're getting close to a difficulty adjustment. In 42 blocks, there will be an upward adjustment. It's right now estimated to be 9.9%, so almost 10%. Blocks are coming in at 9 minutes and 6 seconds on average since the last adjustment. Again, the next one is in 42 blocks, so should happen maybe even later tonight. Middle of the night for anybody East Coast, Central Time Zone, Pacific here in the U.S. There are 4,833 transactions in Clark's mempool. This new setup, it's like hard to read the board.
Growing pains.
1 sat per byte. Fees are going through. I sent a couple this week, so it's working. If you want to send cheap transactions, get them in. We're about to hit the weekend too. Usually transaction volume goes down on the weekends. Unspent capacity in Whirlpool is 4,418.53 BTC or 190.3 million cuck bucks. That's what we got on Clark's dashboard today. This
That
difficulty.
fucking difficulty. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
talk
it's
about it.
pretty massive. And I tweeted out earlier. Go ahead. You go
go
first.
I just want, it's been 20 days since we made our end of year predictions. Just like me and Marty are taking back our under
Below
250
250. Yeah,
exahash.
we're going to hit 300.
We were completely wrong. We've been humbled. Let the point be known. I don't want to hear any more about it for the next 345 days of the year. It's done.
Yeah. So hash rate is, it's. I mean, especially as we're going to talk about the Intel news, obviously.
We were so wrong.
I mean, not only we'll talk about all the mining news, but with this particular difficulty adjustment, again, even if it's, I believe, we need to get over 25 point something trillion hashes for the difficulty to hit all-time high. I think we're going to pass that with flying colors in 42 blocks. So this difficulty adjustment that's going to happen at some point in the next 24 hours will take us to a new difficulty all-time high, which is fascinating, again, considering the exodus of hash rate from China last year. When we have this upward difficulty adjustment to new difficulty all-time highs, we would have an official hash rate recovery in less than 250 days from the first downward difficulty adjustment after the last all-time high difficulty. So I think that's pretty crazy. And it shows the dynamic nature of the Bitcoin network, particularly the mining industry. Is again, you had one of the largest nations in the world kick out all the miners in their country, or a significant amount of the hash rate in their country. Obviously, there's some stragglers that are mining off grid and under the radar there. But you had one of the largest superpowers in the world. I would consider it a light attack on the network in less than a year, in less than 250 days.
Yeah, they could have done worse.
The network completely.
But they fucked up.
Yeah, they fucked up bad. The network's completely recovered. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, new hash rate all-time high. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I guess we're speaking, we mentioned it, and we'll roll right into it. Intel came out with some new. Well, that's the funny thing. Intel didn't really come out with some news. Tom's Hardware, which is a new publication I found. I actually started going around the website. They're very good.
Tom's been around forever.
Yeah.
Tom's like OG.
Very good tech coverage. So I guess what they did at Tom's Hardware is there's going to be a conference next month. ICSS, I believe, is the conference name. ISCC, ISSCC. At the end of next month.
What does it stand for, Marty?
I wrote it out in the newsletter. It's International Solid State Circuits Conference. So a very
great name for a conference.
Yes, the International Solid State Circuits Conference next month. Virtual conference on the 23rd. Tom's Hardware saw that Intel has a talk on the 23rd about chips, and they sort of pieced together it looks like they're making a Bitcoin ASIC, and they cross-reference the future talk at this conference with an interview that the lead systems architect at Intel did at the end of last year with some gaming YouTuber. And in that interview, he did allude to the fact that they're working on an ASIC, because he was asked if they're working on GPU mining stuff, specifically, or if they're going to throttle GPUs so gamers don't get outpriced by people trying to mine shitcoins. And he's like, oh no, we're working on a cryptocurrency mining thing, but it won't be a GPU. It'll be SHA-256 specific. Intel in 2018 took out a patent that was specific to a SHA-256 data pathway as well. So that SHA-256, hashcash SHA-256 is the hashing algorithm that's specific to Bitcoin. So all this leads us to believe that Intel is going to drop, or at least unveil, an ASIC next month at this conference. And then further confirmation came when the news that Grid, which recently went public, Bitcoin mining company here in the U.S. with a great team. Shout out Harry Suddock. Shout out Mike Hamilton. Trey, everybody there. They basically dropped an announcement that they signed a deal with Intel to begin getting some of these chips and plugging them in. I believe September they're going to be delivered.
No. September is when they signed the deal.
Oh, they signed it in September. Yeah.
And through May 2025, the grid deal guarantees them 25% of Intel's production.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, May 2025. Where will Bitcoin be at May 2025?
That's where will hash rate be? Well, so this has massive implications. So let's start talking through this. I just spoke for a while. I don't know if you want to come in and add anything to what I just said, but I've got, obviously, being in the mining industry and having chip production be the most centralizing factor of the Bitcoin stack right now, in my opinion, this is a massive topic.
Keep going. You're on it.
I mean, so obviously Intel's massive chip manufacturer right now in the mining space. We have Bitmain, we have MicroBT, we have it's somewhat of a duopoly. There are other actors, Canaan, Minerva, other people
Not
producing
really.
ASICs, but yeah, they're minuscule compared to MicroBT and Bitmain.
And MicroBT is the former Bitmain guy
Yes.
went and created MicroBT.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Zhao, who designed the S9, went and started MicroBT. So there are a lot of intermixing there. Very centralizing. Bitmain has their chips produced by TSMC in Taiwan. MicroBT has their chips produced by Samsung in South Korea. I really like that MicroBT is leveraging Samsung. Bitmain leveraging TSMC is a bit more unnerving because of the looming potential of China to try to do to Taiwan what they just did to Hong Kong. And so seeing an American chip producer step into the fray with a Bitcoin ASIC is massive for just de-risking the mining industry, particularly how chips are produced. And so,
But where does Intel have their foundries?
I think they have some in in the United States and Canada, right?
They're not making them in Taiwan too?
I don't know. They might be. I could be wrong here. I thought what I heard is that they're leveraging a foundry with 7 nanometer capacity in the U.S. I could be wrong though.
Oh, that's good.
If anybody in the comments wants to correct me on that, please do so. Whatever. Intel's an American company. They're stepping in.
Yeah, it's still massive that an American company, especially the size of it, Intel is doing it, right?
Yes. I think Andy Grove is smiling in his grave right now. We've shit a lot on Intel in the past and said that Andy Grove is turning in his grave, but hopefully this is a good foray into it. And so, Takar, if you go back to that article, Raja, who is the systems design architect for their chips at Intel, go up a bit. Yeah, you don't have to play the video, or go down actually. There's a quote. Yeah, that block quote. That and I'll highlight the last sentence so I can read it. Or one sentence above that too. So this is him. They being able to do much more efficient blockchain. Excuse me. Let me read this.
There's a comment.
Yeah, so they think so. Basically, what Raja said during this podcast alluded to the fact that the Intel team believes that the ASIC producers in the mining industry right now aren't being as efficient or doing it the right way. So he's saying that Intel can create these chips at a much lower cost, much lower power draw, which is huge for efficiency, and they think that they can actually produce a better chip than Bitmain and MicroBT. Yet to be seen. I'm always inherently skeptical of anybody new, even Intel, entering the ASIC game. It's historically been filled with a bunch of duds. With that being said, I'm cautiously optimistic that they will. Grid signing a deal that gives them 25% of the inventory through 2025. That's a massive amount of potential supply for them, which is good for the mining industry and good for Grid. But it's also a risk too that they definitely had to evaluate internally. And so, if they're willing to sign that long-term deal, I would imagine they had to see the chips to some extent and are validating. Like, all right, we're confident enough to sign this deal to have access to a quarter of your chips.
A couple of things. First of all, we have a freak in the comments, M Hart, saying that we have foundries in the United States that are at Chandler, Arizona, Hudson, Massachusetts, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and Hillsboro, Oregon. I don't know if those are Intel specific or whatnot, but that's from the Freak. Hart. The other thing is 100% Marty. There's been a lot of people that have made big claims in ASICs pre-production that have not delivered. So it's yet to be seen necessarily if these Intel chips are all they're going to be cracked up to be. Obviously, Intel is going to be saying they're going to make the best chips, right? Like that. Yeah. Why wouldn't they say that? The third thing is my understanding of the Grid deal is Grid is protected to a degree. Like if the chips perform as they're supposed to be expected, they get 25% of the production. But if they're not, then Grid has an out.
We can get out. Right.
So I wouldn't use it as like so much of a validation, but it does show that Intel, at least if they can do it right, they have the demand and they have that supply chain lined up. And then last but not least, like it's just really good to see ASICs out there that will have American backdoors built in instead of Chinese backdoors.
Right. I wrote the newsletter about it this week, and somebody like in the comments of one of the tweets was just like, have you ever seen this? It was like the Intel kernel. And it's like, oh, it's backdoored as fuck.
It's so backdoor.
Yeah. So I found the part where where he says that. You want me to play it?
Yeah, you can play it.
Okay, let me go.
We're going to play this, and then Car, when you're done that, could you actually like bring that chair in and put this on top of it so it doesn't look like I'm staring at the ground?
Right.
According to Hart, those are Intel fabs, and they have fab production sites outside the United States that include Ireland, Jerusalem, another one in Israel, and one in China, mainland China. Thank you, Hart. Appreciate you.
My goal and our goal as Intel for the first few years is not, the financial incentive. We need to get an install base.
Oh yeah.
With in-gamer machines, right? Some interesting enough install base, because then the ISVs will pay even more attention to us. The game developers will pay even more attention if there is enough install base. So my priority is to get a good enough install base, right? So my GPUs sitting in a mining farm are no install base. They don't show up anywhere, right? So it's
not doing anything for the business as a whole.
Yeah, so that's why it's very myopic for me if I just think about the thing. So that's one part of the answer. The other part of the answer is that we do think this whole blockchain, I'd call it, whether which coins are good or that's a whole separate session we should do at some point of time to nerd out. But I think blockchain as a transaction thing that is run much more efficiently than the current kind of the burning of hardware cycles is something that we are working on. Okay, and that's not a GPU thing, so don't kind of confuse it as it's a GPU thing. No. GPUs will do graphics, gaming, and all those wonderful things, but being able to do much more efficient, blockchain validation, at much lower cost, much lower power, and all is a pretty solvable problem, and we are working on that, and at some point time, hopefully not too far into the future, we will kind of share some interesting kind of hardware for that.
You heard it there first.
What did we hear?
I mean, he didn't say ASIC, but they're working on an ASIC. I mean, it's been confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, they've found the agenda for that great conference, ISSC or whatever. So, it is confirmed. But that conversation just showed me that both of them are going to have fun staying poor.
Yeah, the blockchain transaction validation thing.
Did you see how smug that podcaster looked when he brought up cryptocurrencies?
I wasn't paying attention to it. What did he do?
I don't know. He just looked smug as fuck. He looked like a no coiner is what he looked like.
Yeah. Maybe he is a no coiner, but
he definitely is. I would bet stats on that.
Intel's in the game. That's the other thing too. I believe it's a 7 nanometer chip. So top of the line machines right now are 5 nanometers. So maybe they're producing what Steve Barber's been begging for some time now, which is the Honda Civic of the ASIC industry, which is something that's not top of the line, but is profitable if it's efficient enough and cheaper. So you can have more, you can have smaller or not as well capitalized miners get into the game. So it's if they can produce, it should do many things. Again, adding another player in the ASIC chip production game. And then if they can make it more efficient and cheaper, they should open the door and make home mining and smaller scale mining more viable as well, which is good, even better for the distribution of hash rate ownership. So
yeah, it's bullish everywhere you cut it. Even if they fail, it's bullish.
Yeah.
Just attempting to, it's bullish. So the combination of that news, which by the way has no effect yet on the hash rate, which is already pumping. But we have that news. Hash rate is pumping. It seems like miners are getting online a little bit quicker than I expected. But another thing is, I'm hearing a lot about the new gen ASICs getting upgraded firmware. I think we severely underestimated how much a performance bump the more recent ASICs, the S19s, etc., get from this firmware and how quick the firmware got released to miners.
are we talking
I think
Brains
that's probably-
or Bitmain firmware?
I hear that maybe Brains is working on something, but I hear there's some other players that are just firmware specific that are making custom firmware for specific miners that are larger scale miners for their specific situations that are like finely tuned for their specific situations that give massive performance improvements.
Are you saying like firmware specific for cooling immersed applications, or?
Yeah, like whatever the specific miner's setup is. If it's air cooled or if it's immersion, what's the ambient temperature in the area they're running it, which hardware they're running it on. Like mercenary firmware.
Yeah.
Like this is my setup. I have this much petahash.
It's
make me a firmware and I pay you.
I mean, it's the way it should be. That's the thing people need to learn, especially if you're getting into medium to large scale mining too. Like not every situation is equal. Like you need design specifications for your particular environment, whether you're somewhere hot, somewhere cold. You need to take those variables as external variables into consideration, and then inside your environment, like, are you doing it in a shipping container? Are you doing it like in a big mining warehouse? And you need to design not only the physical architecture of your setup in a specific way, but your software firmware as well. The firmware will be changing things specific to the environment that these machines are running in. So that makes a lot of sense, and it's bullish to hear too. Like more firmware providers is what you want to see as well. On top of that, Intel made their announcement, and Bitmain announced they're launching a 198 terahash a second automatically, like a cooled miner. I believe it's water cooled. It's coming out of the box already with a water cooling setup, and that's going to be, if it is as advertised, I mean, almost 200 terahash a second is by far the most high performance machine on the market when it does come, if it does come.
What's really nice about that, so that looks very similar to what you see with like liquid cooled GPUs and processors, like on consumer machines. You see it a lot in like gaming computers. So it's out of the box, just comes ready. You don't have to like do an immersion setup. And then the second thing is for home miners, smaller miners, people that really have issues with heat and noise, it should be substantially less loud, which I think is a massive thing. And obviously, instead of air cooled, instead of like being the hottest space heater ever, it's liquid cooled, so you don't have to deal with that heat as well.
Yeah, I think Bitmain's bringing this to market because they know, like, if, from what I understand, a significant amount of hash rate that has moved from China is located in Texas. A lot of these miners are massive Bitmain customers, and so I think Bitmain offering this cooled miner out of the box. I don't even know what to refer to it as, but
liquid cooled miner
out of the box is to front run, because like at Texas being the mining capital of the U.S., a big meme right now. But I will say I think a lot of people are, I don't want to say LARPing, but are posturing in a certain way, like, yeah, we're gonna have the biggest mining setup. But they don't realize, like, a lot of people don't realize, like, you can't run these air cooled. The immersing system is not hard. Not trivial to set up. And Bitmain's noticing, like, all right, if a lot of our customers are going to be in Texas, they're going to need a cooling system. They're either going to build them ourselves or we can provide it to them. So they want the margin on Bitmain wants the margin on the cooling features. So they're going to provide it out of the box instead of letting their customers go build it in house. And then on top of that, they're front running like potential FUD in the future of their miners, like crapping out and heating out. Because people are running into Texas.
And they're front running MicroBT and they're front running Intel potentially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like the MicroBT hardware seems better right now. The new gen specs, the new gen hardware on both sides. If you talk about reliability, you talk about upfront costs, you talk about all the different trade-offs. The MicroBT hardware seems better. The best thing that Bitmain has going for it is in all of these whether it's brains or whether it's these mercenary firmwares, it seems like the firmware support, the custom firmware support's a lot better for Bitmain. They could add this onto their quiver as well. That gives them a nice leg up on MicroBT, right?
Yeah. It's a big move. I think they're supposed to start hitting the market in September. I forget exactly.
Yeah, like take all these dates with a grain of salt. Like you should never pre-order a miner in general.
See, I don't agree with that. It's definitely risky. But it has produced good returns. Don't pre-order like a.
Well, sometimes it just wrecks people.
Yeah, S17 Dragonmans wreck people. Like so, like if you're gonna pre-order with a established producer, I would say Bitmain fucked up on the S17 pretty bad, but that was, many would argue, because Jihan and McCree were going through like an internal battle and their company was just.
But aren't the S19s
split.
having reliability issues too?
I'm not sure. I think they've been way more reliable than.
Did you not hear about this PSU issue?
No, is it the S19 or S19J?
I don't know. Their naming scheme fucking sucks, but there's supposedly a looming issue on Bitmain PSUs for their power supplies.
Are they burning out too early?
And like, if those power supplies might not be easy to get, so then you just have a fucking brick there.
Yeah.
So well, if you're a Bitmain miner, consider stocking up on some extra power
PSUs.
supplies.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you're a miner getting like medium, large size, like just buy in bulk PSUs, fans. Those two specifically, my PSUs and fans. But this is the thing, they change these PSUs too from model to model. It's like just like a pain in the ass. So make sure the specs of the PSU are set up for your operation as well.
But anyway, the most important part of this conversation is that me and Marty were absolutely wrong in our end of year prediction.
You pressured me to go under. I think I said push to higher.
I would have bet you. You should have taken my sats.
I know.
The freaks can go back to the tape.
I'm opening this announcement for BitMEX. Do we have anything else to add to this mining conversation?
No. It's exciting though. It's just interesting that like people are so many people are bearish on Bitcoin right now. I mean, we have someone in the comments saying Galloway, I don't even know who that is, said sub 20K Bitcoin. Meanwhile, like Bitcoin hash rate is about to hit a new all-time high if it hasn't hit it already. So many fundamentals are bullish as fuck, and the whole macro landscape is just a bit of a clusterfuck right now. And you see stocks being weak, everything else being weak, and
the relative strength of Bitcoin during this equities dump, particularly like Nasdaq. Has been
sorry.
What are you sorry about?
Oh no, because Carr put up the comment on screen. It's Scott Galloway, an absolute joke of a dude. Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it'll go under 20K, but I don't expect it. I'm bullish as fuck, which means we're probably going to dump under 40 by the end of this episode.
hey, everybody panic sell right now. We're going to reverse the juju here. And the Intel news stepping in as well. Again, like it's a bullish fundamental indicator because Intel stepping in, if they're successful, if they begin producing a massive amount of Bitcoin ASICs, that's a market validation. And like it or not, humans are social creatures. They like social signaling from brands they respect, and Intel is a massive brand in the United States. And if they're producing Bitcoin mining chips and selling them, that's just further social validation that should lead to more acceptance from the public at large. And then even on Capitol Hill, like it's going to be harder for politicians to try to shut down Bitcoin when Intel, one of the computing behemoths of our economy, is getting in en masse. So very bullish on all fronts. Here's to hoping that once the miners do hit the market, that they perform as advertised, because that would be incredibly bullish for the distribution of the mining industry, which is desperately needs. Again, the most centralized part of Bitcoin, I would argue, overall, is the chip fabrication part of it.
I mean, I would also go the other way though. Like, I hope they're not too good.
Why? Because the miners that we have will just make less sense.
I don't know. Like, I don't want Intel dominating the Bitcoin mining industry either.
That's a good point. Yeah, they have a lot of foundry space, right?
Hopefully, they like come out with a nice, solid, mediocre miner.
Yeah, hopefully they make the Honda Civic of the mining industry, which Steve Barber's been desperately begging for years now. On to the next topic: BitMEX buying a bank, or intends to buy a bank. German bank, Bankhaus.
It means House of Bank.
This is interesting. Like, I guess I assume they're trying to buy their way into being an actual, like, say, crypto products
financial services
broker.
I think it just goes to show how effective they are at operators. Where they like, it's crazy. Like BitMEX was like the number one bucket shop, non KYC exchange. They executed fantastic in that regard for many years. They held out longer than most have been able to, even though they were massive. Number one traded at volume. They arrested 3 of their founders just to get them to force KYC on it. And then they added KYC within a couple months after that, gave everyone a warning. And now they're just executing on the KYC vision. They got a bank, they're buying a bank. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's just I'm a bit impressed.
I mean, the BitMEX team has always been quite impressive, like you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin exchanges buying banks, that's good meme fodder right there. The banks aren't buying us. Bitcoin exchanges are buying banks. Yeah. I mean, we were mentioning it before we hit record. If you freaks haven't seen Citadel Dispatch this week, very lively and informative conversation about KYC AML.
Cheers.
With Stefan Livera, Laser Hodl, Diverter KYC, and Zelko. Really good conversation about this. But it's like, yeah, it is impressive to see BitMEX buying this bank, but it's like, fuck, like the original product was the future of finance, and you're having to revert.
Yeah, but if you're already fully KYC, you might as well buy a bank.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they can use that bank lobbying power to fight against KYC.
Yeah. No, but I really enjoyed that dispatch. That was a good conversation. The one thing we didn't give BitMEX ship for is they did launch a token recently too.
I didn't realize that they did.
But like all the big exchanges have.
Oh yeah, I did remember seeing that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think they call it the 100x token or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're all launching tokens. They should be worried about security. I don't know if you have it on the list. Did you see that crypto.com hack?
I did. I did not put it on the list because they're not a Bitcoin company.
They got a lot of Bitcoin stolen apparently too. Ergo BTC.
We should talk about that. But before we leave BitMEX, I just want to say whether it's the Binance token or the FTX token or the BitMEX token, any of these exchange tokens, they have similar risk profiles as a stable coin like Tether or something like that. Like there's no decentralization, censorship resistance, anything. They're completely centralized. You have to trust the exchange. They could be worthless overnight. Just if you are dabbling in those, just keep that in mind. And they often behave like quasi-equity, like a stock, but they're not a stock. You don't have equity rights. So just keep this all in mind if you're going to fuck with those things.
Yeah. Just don't fuck with them. Like, why?
These exchange tokens, stack sats.
These exchange tokens don't make any sense to me. Whatever. The reason I brought it up, because Crypto.com has an exchange token. Obviously, they're spending a lot of money. They got Matt Damon. Matt Damon?
Yeah, they sent Matt Damon to the moon.
Yeah, Matt Damon. Only. What is it? Fortune favors the bold, or the brave.
Was that the slogan?
Yeah. That commercial has been splattered all throughout the U.S. and everywhere. And yeah, Crypto.com got hacked this week or within the last week. I forget exactly how much money. Car, if you can find that.
I think it was 33 million. Wasn't it like it was like 15
33? It was
18 million Bitcoin.
Oh, I thought it was 33 million ETH, and then a significant chunk of Bitcoin on top of that as well. We'll find it though. Carl will find it. But yeah, just be aware. Single points of failure. That's the other thing. Like Crypto.com, they're doing all this ad spend. They're launching their own exchange token. They've got a bunch of shit coins, and they can't secure their stuff. Like, how are they not? Like, they have this marketing budget. Like, how is none of that being allocated
Nailed it,
towards
33 mil?
Yeah. Like,
what's the breakdown?
They're spending all this money, and they can't even protect your Bitcoin or ETH if you're an ETH person as well.
Well, I'm not gonna. I have
these accounts were 2FA secured as well.
But they were. Everyone was reimbursed.
Yeah, I mean,
so like, from a customer point of view, they never really lost money. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, I imagine that Matt Damon commercial and all that ad spend is worth more than 33 mil, so they must have money to burn.
Allegedly, they had Matt Damon pay out of pocket all the customers who lost money.
From the Film Actors Guild? Yes, that Matt Damon.
Oh my God, Team America is such a good movie. Instant classic. I don't know if it'd be allowed to be made today.
Oh, no. And I don't think Trey Parker or Matt Stone would make it today. And they had to edit the Book of Mormon because woke people were yelling at them, which I think is terrible.
Did they really?
Travesty. Yeah, they changed some of the scenes in Book of Mormon towards the end.
After the fact?
Yeah, like recently in the last year, which is
supposedly the Mormon community loved it, which is hilarious, right? It's like the people that complain aren't even Mormons,
right? I loved it. It wasn't. I went in college and saw it when it was in Chicago. It was a great theater experience, if you will.
Yeah, I saw it twice.
This was an interesting thing. I'm very interested to hear your take on this. Chris Stewart from SureBits took to the SureBits blog yesterday to explain a scenario that he discovered where Taproot funds are being burned on the Bitcoin blockchain. And I think it has to do with people not properly working within the BIP 340 specification. And before
the Taproot spec.
Yeah, the Taproot spec.
But he did say like he doesn't know if it was an accident or just someone fucking around. He just thought it was prudent to disclose it. And like, what is it? It's like 200,000 sats, I think.
There's one that he found.
Yeah, so it's nothing.
Yeah, and I haven't.
But it's good. It's good that he made a disclosure about it. At least someone's talking about it. But
yeah. So it seems
I don't want to hear like the shitcoiners saying like Taproot has failed or something like that. Like this is 200,000 sats, which is $80 or something in current value. Marty's anchored on $50,000 Bitcoin. So.
Yes, Parker Lewis want to come in here. Come in here, Parker.
Just
Lewis
don't shoot him. Have him join us for the conversation.
I'm not going to show him. Yeah. Parker. Our first RHR at the Commons. Do you want to come say some words?
Come say some words, Parker.
You
You can't hear me.
What was that? Give me 1 second. All right, take your time. He's going to come back.
He's camera shy.
Yeah. Carr's going to set up a mic for him. Parker Lewis just completely he's
Is that a glass wall behind Carr? That like, are you looking
Yes.
at Carr and then Parker
Yes.
was behind him?
yeah, Parker's back. I was just saying, Parker, you're mesmerizing. I lost my train of thought. You came in, now like we're lost in RHR.
We were talking about how you shouldn't shoe Parker and you should have him join us in the conversation.
Here, I'll let you.
Matt, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Parker, and we love you. Oh, he can't hear me anyway.
I can hear you.
What up, Parker?
I literally saw Matt yesterday in the same room drinking a ranch water. It's like the time never passed.
There you go.
Parker, where are we right now? What is this? What's going on?
We're in the Bitcoin Commons,
Mm-hmm.
TFTC studios. We got the first bit devs tonight. Looking forward to
Fuck
it.
yeah.
Trying to get Marty to actually.
I'm going to Round Top tomorrow. Don't even bring it up. I'm furnishing this place over the weekend. The internet just got turned on yesterday, okay?
Was there like no chairs in there, Parker? You're just squatting in front of the camera?
That's right. We actually had Lisa in here. How was that podcast?
That was a great one. Lisa's a great conversationalist.
Yeah.
It was a good time. She's smart as fuck, dude.
Yeah, he brought a chair for Lisa.
I did.
Not for my unexpected pop-in.
What are we doing with the Bitcoin? Let's get a Bitcoin Commons show in here. I'm very excited. The vibes in this building right now are very high.
Very high.
Yeah.
Matt decided not to come, which I take as a personal slight, but he's coming in March, I think.
I'll be here in March. I just checked my watch for the date, but I'll be there in March. I'm looking forward to it. Too much travel right now. It's a pain in the ass to travel.
Agree.
Parker loves the TSA and the airport experience and all that.
Yeah,
I'm
big fan
Matt,
of it.
I talked to Matt yesterday about how I'm giving up all commercial air travel. Only scheduled flights.
Do we?
No scheduled flights. That's it.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I'm new to this.
That's the best placement, Parker. Yeah, your face placement with the mic in your hand is not perfect right now.
How about this?
We're gonna work out the kinks. We're gonna work out the
Growing
kinks.
pains.
Where
Growing
is? Oh,
pains.
there's only one camera here. That's what's screwing up. I gotta be like this.
Yeah, there you go. You're looking.
What's the plan at BitDevs tonight?
What's the plan?
Yeah, give a BitDevs show. First BitDevs at the new space, the new office, right?
Yep. First BitDevs at the new space. Really, kind of BitDevs was the inception of the idea of Bitcoin Commons. And with awesome BitDevs, it really has. I don't say this to be insulting. Like people fly in every time, from all over the country, and it's pretty fun. We not
Insult
only
taken.
yeah. But, people now fly into Nashville too. Like right, we want to create this as a tradition. Everybody flies all over the place.
100%.
I think
Unscheduled though.
unscheduled, definitely not scheduled. But really some of the inspiration behind it was that we all went, the three of us, amongst many other Bitcoiners, went to Bitcoin or BitBlock Boom in 2020. And that was really the inspiration for a lot of us to stop locking down, to stop putting up with the bullshit, to go on living our lives. Bitcoin doesn't sleep, but that we started Austin BitDevs back up about 2 weeks after BitBlock Boom in 2020. And literally people would walk by the street looking at us crossways, like why people are getting together, why people are sitting inside not wearing masks. And what we recognized was that controlling the space to be able to ensure that Bitcoiners have a place to come together each month, that if you do not control the space for BitDevs, then you cannot ensure that. And that we recognize that we, as kind of partly as stewards, as Unchained, and me personally, that we needed to, despite the fact that we were scaling and that we needed a larger space, that we needed to create a home for Austin BitDevs. And then that inspired, if we need a space for Austin BitDevs, then let's expand on this vision. And that is the Bitcoin Commons. And Marty moved here, and we talked to him about needing a proper recording studio so that he wasn't ripping cigs outside on his porch. And it was really more for Marty and
for my health,
for his health. This is a non-smoking building.
Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of cuck shit is that?
We're gonna change that. Don't worry, we're gonna change that.
There actually is a window right here, so
yeah. We're gonna get velvet. We're gonna get velvet curtains in here too, and it's gonna be a great cigar room. It's gonna be incredible.
First of all, mad respect for Austin Bit Devs. I think I was there in September. Was the one I went to. It was fucking awesome. I look forward to going many more times. Probably not by private jet. I will probably be driving. But
we'll create a bus of Bitcoiners from Austin,
airship.
Nashville, and Nashville.
I want to do airship.
No, gentlemen, we need to create like the Bitcoiners airline. Like it needs to happen. We all talk about it. I can't do the TSA and the mask anymore. It's too much.
Airships.
Honestly, airships, whatever. Just something.
We need like the NVK of airships to come out and we need a Bitcoiner that just had enough and just comes out with.
We need something.
The cold card of airships.
I just want
payments over Lightning.
Yeah, I want a pleasant flying experience again. Can we just somebody build it, please?
Neil's right. Like the reality is just going to be a fucking party bus, but we can dream, and then eventually it'll be airships. But my question for you, Parker, before you leave us. So first of all, BitBlock Boom 2020, super special. I was very happy to be a part of that. I mean, people thought we were absolutely fucking crazy to all meet up,
especially the management of the hotel. Yeah,
and I'm pretty excited that it's going to be in Austin this year, same time as it always is in August, late August, but which I also plan on being too, but it'll be in Austin instead of Dallas. But you mentioned that you said restarted Austin Bit Devs. That wasn't the first one. There was one before COVID as well.
Yeah.
Who was running that? Were you guys running that or someone else?
Yeah, we were hosting it. We basically, when the world shut down in March, we stopped our in-person Socratics. And then, and it's hard to go back to that point, but the world was still very much locked down at BitBlock Boom 2020.
Yeah.
And so we had basically taken a hiatus for 5 or 6 months. And that gave us the confidence to say, all right, we're doing this again. There were about 5 of us driving back. Tanguma, Justin Moon, Will, must have been one or two others, all driving back from Dallas. And that was, kind of the inspiration to restart. But then really, I think it was American Hodl who then started recruiting people to come to the one in January, about 5 months later. And then Austin Bit Devs took its life of its own. Marty came down in April. That sealed the deal of him moving to Austin, and the rest was history.
And here we are
Cheers to that.
at the Bitcoin Commons. You guys can't see it now, but they're setting up for Bit Devs. It's a much bigger room, hopefully less hot than your typical Austin Bit Devs meetup, less stuffy, which I think this building will provide. So
it's going to be beautiful. There's going to be a lot of podcasts. People will be able to rent out the podcast space. It will be TFTC studios, but it will be conducive to bringing all people together to talk about Bitcoin and to be advancing Bitcoin. And Bit Devs is going to be special tonight. It's going to be a little Spartan, but we're going to do big things here.
Yeah,
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
excited. Parker,
respect and congratulations.
hardest working man in Bitcoin right here. Thank you for all that you're doing, for getting us in the Commons and recruiting me down here. I'm very excited. The second podcast recorded in the Commons already. Yeah, when are you running for mayor? Is this where your mayor campaign is going to be run out of?
I went on Safe Dean's podcast yesterday, and Daniel Prince, or his seminar, and Daniel Prince was there, and Daniel brought on Lauren, and she asked me that question, and I will, so Lauren always asks the hardest question, so you guys are
Best interviewer in Bitcoin.
Best interviewer in Bitcoin. Clearly, I told Daniel after I really enjoy her questions, less so his. He took it in the right spirit, but I'm only running for mayor if I have to. I think Bitcoin does need a proper citadel, but I'd much rather be working on Bitcoin. I don't really have any political aspirations, but we got a lot of Bitcoiners here, and if called upon, that I will run, I will win. But if all things go schedule, we'll just be doing pop-ins on Rabbit Hole Recap rather than moving a few blocks over to City Hall.
And we'll have a couch for you in your next pop.
Even if you're mayor,
we'll schedule the next pop-in, so I don't have to be sitting down here like an idiot, basically. Yeah, in Marty's lap.
I'm very impressed. We've got an expert squatter here. The squat, your thighs got to be burning right now.
I could do this for days.
Love it.
All right. With that,
Parker,
Mark, thanks for setting me up.
Parker, we're thinking two
what-
sets here too. We're gonna do like the chair side by side and then the round table over here. So we're gonna have a plethora of setups for podcasters coming through.
Love it.
Parker, when you're mayor, I still expect the pop-ins to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even more so, we're gonna
Okay,
need
good.
we're gonna need
Yeah.
a city update.
We'll
so.
accelerate Poppins at that point.
We have Mayor Lewis here for the city update. Yep. Down.
All right. With that, I'm out.
Cheers.
Peace and love.
Thanks, Parker.
Enjoy the night.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I'll see you after we record this. Again, I don't think you freaks understand. He is the hardest working man in Bitcoin. I'll get calls at like 11 p.m. at night. Parker's like, all right, like, what are we going to do at the Houston meetup this month? I'm like, dude, it's 11. I've got a kid. I've got a wife. But I'm here to talk to you for the next hour and a half. That's how it happens. This is how it happens. The vibes in Austin at the Commons are high. First day in. Right now, we're going to keep going down the list. Porn's not that bad and can even be good or great. And now on the shout-outs. A note from the Council of Kneels on Shoegate. To shoe someone is to admit the lack of nuance and creativity, two traits we believe integral to our existence as Kneels. As such, we believe any case of shoeing someone, even a Ben, is an injustice we cannot ignore. While we are superior to Bens in almost every way, we would never stoop so low as to shoe one of them. We stand with Ben. And two things here. Porn is bad. It's going to rot your mind. It's bad. It leads to degeneracy and low T levels and bad cultural stuff. Number two, no, shoeing. I'll keep shoeing. Niels and Ben's. Good thing. Good job, Niels. You just got on the shit list too. If you ever come in, you're getting a. You're getting a if Neil Woodfine. I'm waiting for Neil Woodfine because he's an Unchained guy. He's a friend. I have to shoe him now. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, he's part of the council. I just wanted to be clear that I also stand with the Bens and the Neils.
Is Shoegate the biggest story in 2022?
Shoegate, so far, Shoegate it's caused a lot of drama. I think this is the second shout out about shoes. So thank you. Thank you, Niels, for the shout out. That was the only one.
Thanks for supporting the show.
that was the only one of the week. And now we're on to software updates. Mempool version 2.3.0 has been released. Mercury Wallet version 0.5.9 has been released. Onion Share version 2.5 has been released. Simple Bitcoin Wallet, Matt's favorite Bitcoin wallet, version 2.4.27 has been released.
You joke, but it's a really good wallet.
Yeah, I know. Lightning Pool version 0.5.4 has been released. Umbrel version 0.4.11 has been released. And TDEX version 1.2.4 has been released. That was it for software updates. We're going to link to those in the show note. As always, you don't have to rush. I don't think there's any pressing vulnerabilities or bugs that need patching in any of these software updates. So if you're running any of these softwares and want to check out what is the latest version and what is included in that, you can find links to all of this in the show notes. We already talked about this next topic last week. Did you want to rebroach the subject?
Oh, we did talk about it?
Yeah.
It wasn't in the show notes.
Yeah, okay.
So I put it in the list. I wasn't sure.
We can gloss over. We can mention again. El Salvador
It's
government.
worth mentioning again.
Yeah, El Salvador government is using the Pegasus spyware to surveil journalists within the country.
They're hacking journalists' phones.
Yeah,
Not good.
not a great sight. Speaking
Especially
of that,
since he's meeting with Erdogan
Yeah.
right now, who also hates journalists and has a horrible track record in that regard.
yes. So President Nayib Bukele, is meeting with Recep. What was his first name? Recep Erdogan.
I can't pronounce.
I think it's Recep Erdogan, who's the president of Turkey and is somewhat of a dictator, from what I understand, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
he's like a
just
Putin
straight-up
president. Yeah.
He's a straight up dictator.
Yeah, he's in the process of completely demolishing the Turkish lira.
Bukele, I give the benefit of the doubt to a degree. Erdogan is just a straight up horrible leader, dictator, authoritarian.
Yeah,
Boom.
agreed. So they're meeting, and there's a lot of speculation. Like, is Bukele meeting to shill Bitcoin specifically? I think so. He's been tweeting at him in Turkish that he plans to shill Bitcoin to him.
Did you see like the rumors that Turkey is gonna make Bitcoin legal tender?
I did not see them, but it does not surprise me if these two are meeting, and maybe he's giving him advice.
You want to bet on it?
No. Why do you always want to bet?
Because I like betting. I like skin in the game.
All right, let's bet on this one. I'll bet on it by the end of the year. No, because like
you think Turkey's gonna do legal tender? No way, Turkey does.
Yeah, Erdogan's like, he's more of a CBDC guy, I would imagine.
Yeah, but see, you not betting is also like, that's good too. I'm cool with that because it shows that you have proper skin in the game, agreeing with me.
Oh, you're gonna try to force me into a bet.
I'm not trying. That's my point. I'm not trying to force you to bet. My point is you'd be an idiot to be betting that Turkey's going to do legal tender. Like, it makes no sense. He has his own currency. He likes having full control over the lira. He could give two shits if it's, I mean, he cares a little bit, obviously, that it's devaluing and is in a death spiral. But he's going to hold tight to his shitcoin. Like, he's not going to move to Bitcoin. And he definitely doesn't want his people to be using Bitcoin in a censorship resistant way by any means.
No. We'll see. I'm not betting on it.
And also, like, Bukele's meeting with the Chinese and like getting them to fund his library and his soccer stadium, his football stadium. You know, like,
yeah,
he definitely wasn't orange pilling them.
Yeah, I mean, freaks again. Like we said last week, we touched on this last week. Just don't have too many heroes, especially political figures. Brushing elbows with these authoritarians.
We have Young Lurk saying that the Turkey legal tender tweets were a troll. My bringing up of it wasn't. First of all, I did not see the tweets. People told me about them, which makes it extra hilarious. But it's better that it was a troll. I assumed it was just one of those engagement accounts that tweets out bullshit in all caps.
The Bloomberg highlights. Well,
I
don't think you should have.
Bloomberg.
I mean, you just
Delta One or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you should have mentioned all caps. You should have just said like just taking Bloomberg because you're an all caps guy yourself.
Yeah.
When is Citadel coming back? When's he coming back?
When you least expect it.
Okay, I like that. I like to be surprised.
But Citadel came out of those bullshit Caps accounts.
Yeah.
Like, it was like,
it was a parody.
I was like, the first Citadel tweet, I was like 10 drinks deep. I was just like fucking triggered by like another all caps tweet, and just Citadel fucking came out.
I can't wait till you get triggered again and get.
You know that account Walter Bloomberg or whatever.
Delta One,
Delta One. I'm blocked. I can't see any of his tweets because
you trolled him.
I tweeted in all caps. If it's in caps, it must be true or whatever. And he fucking blocked me like 10 months ago.
Walter, that's pretty soft.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why he does that account. Because he's just scraping headlines off of Bloomberg. Does he monetize it at all? Is he able to monetize his following?
It's definitely an influence play. Like, he probably has some tweets that are like bullshit and paid for or something to that effect, and then some tweets that are actually from Bloomberg. Because they're not all from the Bloomberg terminals.
It's some good insight there. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I don't know how many followers. He's got to have a shit ton of followers. This is a popular account. I do sometimes feel guilty retweeting him because I know it's like a pretty low effort leech job that he's doing.
Look at some sources, Marty.
It's just too easy. He puts it in all caps. It's right there.
Must be true.
Must be true. Speaking of must be true, the UK government is planning a publicity campaign against encrypted communication.
Great pick.
Which is not a great pick, but not a great sign. that they're. I mean, and the UK has been trying to do this for a while, right? And from what I understand,
all world governments have been against encrypted communications and open source tools that enable them for fucking decades now.
Yeah, even here in the US, we've had Clapper from the NSA or CIA go up and try to get and then
like
encryption
look up
banned.
the Clipper chip. They tried to.
Yeah, it was in the
tried to put a
90s.
backdoor. Yeah, this was called the crypto wars before cryptocurrencies were even a thing, and it's still ongoing. The war is not over. Governments around the world do not want you to have private communications. They cannot stop it, but they can make it very, very difficult for the average person to access it. Criminals will still be able to access it, so any argument that is to stop criminals is bullshit. It's open source code. It's out there for the world. No one can stop the criminals from using it. So anything they're doing is really just putting their own citizens and individuals around the world at risk, even if they are honest, law-abiding people, which the overwhelming majority are. Stuff like iMessage being encrypted or WhatsApp being encrypted. Both of those, not ideal solutions, but they are better than plain text messages. And they want to reduce that kind of easy access to encryption, which is it's just sad and short-sighted and frustrating, but it's going to keep happening. And this is why the free open source movement is
an imperative.
So important.
These people don't care about you, freaks. These politicians don't care about. Like Matt said, the criminals are going to use end-to-end encrypted technology, and law-abiding citizens are just going to get backdoored and surveilled into oblivion. Again, we need to build out Bitcoin. We need to build out these free and open source softwares. We need to protect end-to-end encrypted communications technology, and it's a human right. I mean, here in the United States, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of end-to-end encrypted communications with the PGP wars in the 90s. It is a human right. It is free speech, and the government does not have the right to surveil every little message you send to your friends and family. And don't let them throw if you have nothing to hide, then why can't we access this data? That's such a weak argument, and something that they're going to try, what I imagine they're going to do in this publicity campaign in the UK.
It's not just that the government has no right to surveil. It's that the government can't secure this information. There's no such thing as a secure backdoor. Companies can't secure this information. It puts people at risk to malicious actors, foreign actors, other governments, a whole wide variety of different kind of malicious parties will be able to have access to all of your communications, financial data, everything, if we don't have encryption. So the key element here is, to me, is not necessarily the government surveillance. It's the desire for government surveillance enables basically data compromises from a whole assortment of malicious actors. And the only way to really protect it in an effective and efficient way is proper end-to-end encryption that is fully auditable and verifiable, ideally free and open source software.
We're in a battle. We're in a Cold War, freaks. They're trying to control you. They're trying to throw you into this digital panopticon. Do not let them. Do not let them. But in regards to the UK government, we got to give props where props are due. Shout out to Boris Johnson for eliminating vaccine mandates and mask mandates in the United Kingdom. Like somebody on that stage of the geopolitical in that spotlight on the geopolitical landscape doing this, there need to be a first mover.
I thought it was masks only.
No, I think it's vaccine and mask.
Okay. Well,
I'll take either. I'll take if it's mask only, I'll take that. Again, props where props are due. This stuff needs to stop, and having the UK come out.
No, my understanding was like he pulled the mask mandates, but I don't know if he pulled the vaccine mandates. Is that you understood that for me?
Yes, you think it was mask only. I think it's both. I'm okay if it's mask only. I hope it's both.
I mean, he could go fuck himself, but yeah.
Yeah.
You get no credit from me, Boris.
But hopefully, I mean, it's becoming obvious that the mandates are working, and stop doubling, tripling down on the problem. Stop compounding the bad decisions, and let's start going back to normal. Please.
Oh yeah, he said Kitas said UK got rid of Vax passes.
Yeah, Vax
not
passes.
yet.
That's what it was. Yeah,
Not yet for National Health Service workers.
which is a shame.
Boris, go fuck yourself.
Boris, he's a weird man, dude. Staying on to our macro Bitcoin coverage. There was a great article written by Project Mano in Bitcoin Magazine's culture section called "Suppressed by World Superpowers: Ethiopia Should Turn to Bitcoin." Apparently, I wasn't even aware of this till I read this article. It came out a couple days ago. But the U.S. removed Ethiopia from the African Growth and Opportunity Act trade program, which apparently is a significant blow to the Ethiopian people. And the Project Mano is writing in this piece that they think Ethiopia should turn to Bitcoin as like hey, we want to separate ourselves from the dollar hegemony system that exists throughout the world. And you know what? We have all these natural resources. We have a lot of energy. Why don't we tap into that, mine Bitcoin, make Bitcoin legal tender? I think it would be a good move. I would bet that Ethiopia is probably more likely to add Bitcoin as legal tender than Turkey would be at this given point in time. And there's a lot of really good Ethiopian Bitcoiners out there. I think there's a very vibrant community and industry growing down there already.
100%. Yeah. Shout out Calcasa.
Calcasa, the Don. What is Cal's working on? Hoseki, yeah. And that's with Sam Abbasi.
Sam
right?
Abbasi from former Fidelity.
Boss. Shout out to all of the Bitcoiners out there, but in regards to this story, particularly our Ethiopian friends out there. And here's to hoping that you guys get Bitcoin as legal tender. And I don't understand like the fact that we even have like in the United States like this act where we're stoking African economies is just weird to me. It's like
Marty, you realize that we used to take people from their continent and bring them over here as slaves, right?
Well, it was the Europeans that did that.
Americans did it too.
The slave trade, it was like Europeans mainly.
The slave trade didn't.
I mean, the Americans bought. We're not falling down the slave trade route.
When we signed the Declaration of Independence, there was an agreement made between states to end the slave trade at a predetermined later date.
Yes.
That ended after America
I'll
was
concede
created.
it. I'll concede it. It was like the slaves again. We're just gonna stop here. We're not getting into it.
Know your history.
Yes. But what I'm just saying, you went to slave trade. I'm trying to say, like, I don't think we should be meddling. This seems like
saying it is very on brand for America.
I
don't think it's that strange.
Well, this seems very Belt and Road-esque, which I'm not like.
I mean, we should not be doing it. But
yeah.
But I'm not surprised that we are. Is my point, I guess.
We touched on this before we went live. Neither of us watched the congressional hearing on cleaning up cryptocurrency due to being busy this morning. Obviously, I had that recording with Lisa and was setting up the new studio. Have not been able to hop in and watch the congressional hearing, though. I have been following along via Twitter and group chats with people in the mining industry, and apparently there was a bunch of LARPers involved. One guy in particular for Columbia University was hard shilling POS from Cornell, was heavily shilling POS and deucing on Bitcoin's energy usage, using bad stats. He pulled out like the 0.5% of or 25% of all the Bitcoin is held by 0.5% of Bitcoiners, which is just one of the dumbest stats out there. It's been proven time and time again that all these large wallets that these people cite are exchange wallets, which represent millions of users. And so he's apparently there was somebody on the Hill. Brian Brooks was there too. I'm not sure what his testimony was like and how factual and bullish it was for Bitcoin. But yeah, Congress is having these hearings. Elizabeth Warren called this one, and the attack on Bitcoin's proof of work mechanism is heating up. It should be expected. It's only going to heat up from here, but it will be interesting to see how we fight this battle. I know how I want to do it, which is how we have been doing it. And like, we own the media. Like, we are creating our own media, and we are going to get the message of Bitcoin mining out there ourselves. Let's not rely on politicians. Let's not rely on CNBC. Let's not rely on think tanks or anything like that. As Bitcoiners, we have our own media. We're going to push the narrative that Bitcoin proof of work is a beautiful mechanism. It's making us more energy efficient. It is securing the soundest money that humans have ever come into contact with. And it is going to be a boon for humanity in terms of making sure that cheap, abundant energy is available to humans across the world. We are the media. Look at me. We are the media now.
Fuck yeah.
Such a good meme.
Well, it's like, I'm just tired. I mean, Nick Carter's done an incredible job of this, and many others. Everybody's like, oh, when you get to CNBC, when you get to these politicians, like, no, fuck them. Like, we'll put the information out there, and people will find it.
Well, first of all, I have no intention of watching this congressional hearing. We'll cover it in more depth next week after like some people write up like TLDRs on it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a waste of time. I don't think we win this with politics. I think we win this with free and open source tools and basically individuals seeking out knowledge and using those tools and supporting those tools and empowering themselves, because empowered individuals are very difficult to stop. And frankly, I don't think we can be stopped. We can individually be stopped, but not as a whole. The other thing is, did you see what btcpolicy.org put out? It's a new organization.
Yeah, I saw that David Zell's tweet.
Yeah, I've been helping them with it a bit. I thought this was a very, like, it's very wordy for Twitter, but like this is like an ideal, like if you actually do want to try and convince a politician, like I feel like this is a nice way of doing it. Like it's concise for politicians. It's not concise for Twitter, but it's concise for politicians. And that chart, that single bar chart is like the single most important aspect, which is that just Bitcoin is basically using no energy in comparison to all these other mainstream things. Now, that means we're early. It should use a shit ton more energy than it's currently using, but that one chart just fucking destroys everything.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, and this is in the mining industry, like the chart, I mean, right now, yes, like air conditioners use 3,000 kilowatt hours to Bitcoin's like less than 100 or whatever
it's
it
fucking
is.
Insane. Sweat in your house if you want to fucking complain about Bitcoin's energy usage.
Yes.
Stop using your fucking dryers and hang your clothes up on a clothes rack.
Yeah.
It's also better for your clothes. Your clothes will last longer.
Well, like, let's not even like, yeah, like it's this whole argument is so dumb and so idiotic. Like Bitcoiners, again, like stop like being like, oh, we're only like 0.5% of the energy usage and like, look how efficient we are. Like, stop. Like, just don't even like concede that you need to validate that Bitcoin is using energy. If Bitcoin miners decide they are going to purchase energy that is available in the market, and the utility provider or the upstream oil and gas company that is willing to sell you that energy, sells you that energy, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. You can run your air conditioner, you can run your miner, you can run your refrigerator. Like, energy markets exist, free markets exist, and Bitcoin miners, if they're willing to pay for electricity at a fair rate, like that is offered by a utility company or somebody else, like there should be no moral relativism to energy usage, whether it be for air conditioners or Bitcoin miners. And like Matt said, Matt said, we're all going to use more. We're going to use more and more energy.
Way
like
more.
Way more. And it's going to be a great thing. It's going to be a beautiful thing. It's in the process of using more. The way we're going to use more energy is incentivizing more energy production and more power production. And the effects of that should bring down electricity prices for people in parts of the world where they're extremely high right now, and it should bring more reliable electricity to them. Like, there is no climate emergency. There's no environmental emergency. Like, this whole humans versus nature thing is such bullshit. Had two great conversations yesterday with Eric Kaysen and then AJ Scalia and Drew Armstrong from Cathedra, disclaimer, I'm on the board of Cathedra, but if you go listen, like we dove deep into this topic in both those conversations. It's like we just got to completely reject this framing that's being put. Like, oh, you guys need to rationalize like Bitcoin miners because of the environment. It's like, no, shut the fuck up, Elizabeth Warren. Like, I'm going to buy electricity and do with it what I want. This is America. This is a society. We have laws. We have rules. Stop trying to intimidate me. Get the fuck off my lawn.
I mean, I would say that there's never been an energy free market until Bitcoin existed. Bitcoin enables that free market for energy.
I agree.
That's what I'll add to that rant. Also, Elizabeth Warren's focused on Kroger right now, so I don't know why you dragged her into this.
She's the one who called this subcommittee meeting.
When's the Kroger subcommittee?
I don't know, but dude, whoa, speaking of that, like,
I would also say one more thing, that like I have no intention of dealing with politics. I personally think that even this show has too much politics in it. Like, I just, it's not, I mean, it's just not something that like I like to focus on. I think it's a waste of time, but at the same time, I do appreciate that there are some Bitcoiners out there working on it, because there's a very strong argument that even though it's very inefficient and mostly a waste of time, if you can push back dumb regulation, short-sighted, stupid regulation in the short term to medium term, and just give us some space to operate, it just makes our job as American Bitcoiners easier. So I there's some respect there for people that are working on this kind of stuff. Me personally, no desire to focus on it.
I do have to focus on it a little bit because I'm in the mining industry, and so I was talking to like the aides of representatives all the last couple of weeks, and like giving them updates on what they how they should approach and understand. But I think, and Eric Case and I talked about this yesterday, we just need to get states, Wyoming, Texas, Kentucky, West Virginia, Oklahoma, somebody, number one, make Bitcoin legal tender, and then just back the mining industry aggressively. Like, it just be like, no tax breaks, it's legal, or no sales tax, it's legal tender. Like, please come and make us more energy efficient. Like, we need states to lead the way on this. I do not like working through the federal government. The federal government is bloated. It's inefficient. It's full with a bunch of geriatric old motherfuckers who are dragging this country down, and they're doing it in a corrupt way. They're insider trading on the knowledge that they have as elected politicians, which is disgusting. States, stand up. Bitcoin permanent funds. Let's go.
What was the sales tax comment about?
I just like use the Kentucky, like, we'll waive sales tax. But actually, if you look into the Kentucky stuff,
not sales tax, right? What, income tax?
Or income tax. Yeah, no income tax. Do that too.
Well, so like miners, when you mine, it's income tax.
Oh, the sales tax is on the energy side. Like, you're not.
So when you're paying for electric, you pay sales tax.
Yes.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. And Kentucky has a law specific to that, but I've actually been digging into that law, and the scale that you need to get to reap the benefits from that tax break is actually pretty. There's very few people that can do it, so that might have been one of those laws that was
classic American bureaucracy,
right?
You know, helps the big guy.
Yeah, exactly. But other states out there: Wyoming, North Dakota, Texas, where I'm sitting right now, Louisiana, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Oklahoma, like, you guys have the opportunity out there to lead the way and to protect Bitcoin. And that's the beauty of it too, particularly throughout the energy sector. Like, people are starting to realize, and we've been covering this for almost a year now, that Bitcoin helps them out aggressively, and all the big boys are getting in. They won't tell you, but in the oil and gas world, all the big boys are talking about integrating Bitcoin mining. Some already have, they're just not announcing it. Like,
big Bitcoin boys.
It is helping. It is helping. And states, keep pushing the states' rights autonomy theme. I want it to accelerate moving forward. It shouldn't only be Texas and Florida that get the headlines for this competition between states.
they're two of the largest states in the country. That's where they get the headlines. There's plenty of other states that are fighting for this kind of shit.
Yeah, we actually had a freak reach out in DMs. I don't know if you saw that. Who was pumped that we shouted out Northwestern Arkansas last week.
Like, yeah,
he confirms that it's beautiful, and so if you're looking for some place to settle down with a good tax regime, Bitcoin friendly, Northwest Arkansas.
I met Birmingham freak, Birminghamian, and I don't know, from Alabama last week too.
Oh, did you?
Good things about Alabama. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Tyler Ghost is asking, will Odell address his privacy concerns over everyone playing Wordle? What is this Wordle thing? I just keep seeing it. I keep seeing squares. This is like Boomer Uncle Marty. I see people tweeting about it. I'm like, it seems like one of those terrible fads.
I don't even know what are we talking about? What the fuck is Wordle?
It's like apparently a game. I don't even know what you do. I don't know if you've seen on your Twitter feed recently, there's blocks. They're black, yellow, or green, and I guess that's somebody's Wordle performance for the day. I don't know how it works, but
I haven't seen it on Twitter. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Tyler,
but
can't answer
I'll take
the
a shot
question.
at it. Don't fucking do it, freaks. It's bad for your privacy.
We
what it is.
We're done with the list, and we're on to some TFTC Citadel Dispatch
most things
announcements.
in today's age, it's probably bad for your privacy.
Tyler, it was a joke. It was all right, Tyler. I'm curious. I don't know what Wordle is.
You'll find out next week.
Yeah. Housekeeping things. Matt and I obviously we're scaling this thing. We're adding shows, and so we need to clean up the feeds. We're gonna separate Citadel Dispatch. Are we gonna separate Rabbit Hole Recap too from the feed?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're gonna get 3 separate feeds. We're gonna have the interview series, which will stay on this feed. We're gonna spin out RHR to a separate feed. I know Freaks is a big move, but we're gonna set up our RHR feed. There's already Citadel Dispatch feed, and as we scale this up, we're gonna separate them just for simplicity's sake and organizational sake. We haven't set up the RHR feed. Yeah. We're gonna do that with
next week. Yeah. Next week we're still gonna have Rabbit Hole Recap on the feed, so don't worry about that yet. It's not on podcast apps yet as a separate feed. But Citadel Dispatch next week is going to be only on the dedicated Citadel Dispatch feed. So if you want to keep listening to Dispatch, just search Citadel Dispatch in your favorite podcast app and click that subscribe button.
Yeah, and go listen to this week's episode too because it was fire. Yeah. So just some housekeeping there. What should we riff on?
Voltage. After we went live, Voltage announced a $6 million seed round.
I saw that.
So congratulations to Graham, Paul Miller, and the rest of the team. I just saw them last week as well. Love those dudes.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, creating one of the highest caliber Lightning service providers in the game right now.
Are they? I guess technically they're not an LSP. I think we need to be good about like LSPs provide liquidity, right? They're like an infrastructure provider. You can run a node in the cloud and make it easy to do and stuff like that. They might be an LSP in the future, but I would probably not categorize them as one right now, right?
I don't know. They are providing a Lightning service, like helping people spin up nodes.
It's gonna get super confusing though.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the accepted nomenclature
infrastructure.
Well, the accepted scheme of calling something an LSP is the provider of liquidity. A Lightning service provider is a provider of liquidity, but like I agree that like the words Lightning service provider would also just generically apply to what they're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
But then like AWS is also a Lightning service provider because you could run L&D on AWS.
Yeah, that's a good call. Well, shout out to Voltage, Graham, Paul.
Yeah, cheers. Love those guys.
I do. Paul, it's been funny hanging out with Paul more in Austin. Shout out to Paul for the shoeing gif. I will never stop shoeing. And Paul, the Pauls are with me at least. Paul liked the shoeing.
I'm with the Pauls.
Because he now knows how to get rid of Ben Carmen. You just shoo him away.
Go follow Paul on Twitter. He got shadow banned for talking about COVID stuff.
Really?
At future Paul on Twitter. Have you noticed you haven't seen him on Twitter lately?
Yeah, I haven't. Did he really get shadow?
Yeah, that's why. Like, I didn't even know he posted the shoe thing until like a week later. Me and Paul were talking about this the other. Paul came over to my house the other day, and me, Paul, my lady, and Paul's sister just sat around my fireplace discussing building societies, like basically building citadels. We were like just did Citadel theory for like 2.5 hours. But he's like, I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned. That was the point of that story. He's pretty sure that he's shadow banned.
Paul, somebody at Twitter get you off the list, the shadow ban list. Twitter, I don't know how our days are numbered on Twitter and YouTube. Are we just gonna fall to like Twitter? Like, are we just gonna fall off the face of the earth?
Yeah. To those that don't know, Paul was one of the co-founders of The Verge. He was one of the co-hosts of the Verge Cast. He parted ways with them. The Verge Cast has fallen off a cliff, and now he is working at Voltage as a Bitcoiner full time. So cheers to him. Yeah, we're gonna get deplatformed like a motherfucker. If that's your question.
I hope not. Susan,
come on the pod.
Come on, Susan, come on the pod. Let's talk. I think our strike on the Laser Hodl episode should be taken away, but we'll discuss that in person, Susan.
You want to bet?
If we get deplatformed or when? No, I don't want to bet.
Oh, no. I mean, they'll never remove the strike. I don't think they remove strikes, right? Like
no,
strikes.
I've had a strike removed before.
So this was technically our second strike.
Yes, but we only have one strike right now.
What was the first strike on before?
Some vaccine stuff. I forget exactly what. I had to protest. Like, we didn't say what we like. I think
Did you just self-censor yourself? Did you just say vaccine very quietly?
I didn't mean to self-censor. Maybe I did, though. I think it was a George Gammon episode. And we didn't say, honestly, it was pretty tempered compared to some other stuff that's been said on this channel before.
Did you see what Count Bitcoin said?
No.
Are you getting paid to promote strike?
Strike, baby. Hey, they're another team killing it. Jack Mallers. He was in Nashville too, wasn't he? Yeah, you guys had. He was in Nashville the last meetup.
We kept it on the DL. This is the first public acknowledgement that he was in Nashville.
My bad.
We did an unannounced fireside chat at Nash Bitcoiners.
I'm sorry for blowing up the spot.
There was about 150 ride or die Nash Bitcoiners that came out to talk about Lightning and had no idea that Jack was going to be there. And we did a fireside, and we didn't record it because Mahler's. Well, we did record it, and we deleted the recording because Mahler's was lit as fuck. It was fucking. It was a conversation.
Hell yeah. Fuck. I'm excited, man. The vibes are high here. The Jacks are way stronger than the Bens and the Neils. The Bens and the Neils are pissants compared to the Jacks. Okay.
What about the Martys?
The Martys.
Who else do you have?
There's only one, motherfucker. There's only one. And I'll shoe all of you. Just kidding. I love you, freaks. Ben deserved to get shooed. Okay, he was sitting there. It was like shoeable.
I think the Mats are the strongest, but I stand with the Bens, the Neils, and the Jacks.
You have Corallo, Matt Alborg.
Most of the Nims are Mats. You just don't know because they're Nims.
Yeah. Yada, you do need to get down to Austin. Guys, come to Austin. The Commons is here. You definitely got to come check it out. The vibes are going to be high. We're going to be recording here. There's like action going out in the windows behind me, behind Car's desk right now. People are looking in. They're like, oh, this is where TFTC is recording now. It's like, yeah, we're here now. We're at the Bitcoin Commons. We're at Austin. The vibes are going to be high. We're gonna have a legit set here. It's going to be like Parker was shitting on the set today. It's they just got internet. They just painted the walls. I couldn't even come in here and do anything until this morning. And you know what, Carr?
We had 30 minutes.
Yeah, we had 30 minutes, and we threw this set together, and we're making it happen. It's going.
Wait, did Carr put the noise stuff on?
No. This is the building. This noise stuff is going all the way up to the ceiling. We're gonna cover it with plywood and then put more pretty stuff on top of that.
Are you really gonna cover that with plywood?
Yes.
Does that still work then?
Yes. Yeah. It's all about the concrete behind it.
It's not about bouncing. Is
No,
that why the foam
it's
is
about
there?
absorbing. No, because if you do, it'll still
Is
absorb
noise
it.
stuff the technical term?
Yes, it is the noise stuff.
If the freaks want to buy some, they should just Google noise stuff. DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo. Have you been using your iOS device? Your phone?
No.
DuckDuckGo just stopped working for me. Do I have to update my?
I only use that fucking iPhone for Sphinx chat because it's just still unreliable on Android. It's not called foam.
DuckDuckGo is just not working for me on my iPhone.
Really? Wait, what is it? An app?
Yeah.
But it's a website too. You could just open Safari and type in DuckDuckGo.
I know, but I prefer the app.
Did you try updating it?
Look, I hit it.
They're a pretty professional company. I mean, you should try updating it.
This is what's happening to me. Just trying to open it, just closes right away.
Go to the App Store.
I did. I tried it.
Have you tried restarting the phone and turning it back on?
No, this phone hasn't been turned off in
okay,
months.
That's what it is. Restart the phone, turn it back on, and then you'll be able to use the app.
All right, let's see if this works.
I have DuckDuckGo set as my default search engine on all my devices.
I don't even know how to
And
turn off these iPhones anymore. I'm holding down the button. I literally don't know how to.
You have to hold the volume down and the power button, I think, at the same time or something.
Yeah, Boomer Uncle Marty here.
I have to do tech support for all my family's iPhones, including Marty's, apparently.
I figured it out. Yeah.
My dad, I spent 20 minutes the other day trying to get Peacock TV on my dad's Fire TV.
What's he watching? Is he watching
I have no
Yellowstone?
idea. I don't ask him those questions. And then I checked after 20 minutes, I had him check the serial number, and the Fire TV of that serial number does not support Peacock anyway. You had to buy a new one.
Yeah, Peacock. My wife, I was like, no, it didn't work.
It's still not working?
No. My wife, honey, if you're listening, I'm still mad about the Peacock. I'm done with the streaming services. We don't watch that much TV. She's like, we're getting Peacock to watch Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone, but I'm not downloading another streaming. What we did, it's just another $5 a month.
Torrents.
Torrent. That was, yeah. We're gonna have to teach you how to
I
use
just had a
torrents.
cough. I had a lingering cough.
Yellowstone's a great show. We're out of topics, but I do want to riff. Chairman Powell. It's so weird that it's not weird. We discussed this with AJ and Drew yesterday, and I think AJ had a really good point. Jamie Dimon's the Fed's going to raise the rate 8 times this year. It's what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Speaking of, AJ just peeked in.
How do people actually believe that shit?
I don't think they do. I think Jamie's the way AJ described it yesterday. Jamie's definitely just talking his book because bank stocks typically do well in a rising rate environment. So he's probably just yeah, I would love for rates.
No, but I'm saying how do people believe Jamie? Obviously, market participants believe it to a certain extent. That's why we've seen asset prices take a dump, including Bitcoin, but also stocks and other we've seen the dump happen as a response to this, what I believe is a bluff, what I think you agree with is mostly a bluff. There might be some small increases, but they can't really do it in any kind of substantial way. But it blows my mind that so many people fucking believe it. A lot of the boomers, I feel believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do they believe it or are they just again, the CNBC crowd, they're posture and look at how markets are reacting. Again, it's all Wizard of Oz.
Don't look behind the curtain.
Fugazi. Everybody knows they can't raise rate. Like, everybody and their mother, including Jamie Dimon, including Jerome Powell, they know they can't do it. They're just playing this song and dance to see how, like, they're just waiting for markets to fall a certain percentage point, and then it'll be an intra-meeting emergency rate lowering that happens, and an announcement of more QE. Like, it's going to come at some point this year. And then markets will rally. It's so, like, the markets are so fucking fake now. It's like this weird, like, just think about that. Like, everybody's trading the equities markets based off the Fed hiking or reducing rates. Nobody's actually going in and looking at PE multiples or balance sheets and cash flow and all that shit. They're just literally looking at what the Fed's doing. Like, all right, you're going this direction, short it, and go in the other direction, long it. Like, none of the fundamentals matter. It's a completely clown world market we got.
And let's not forget that they have circuit breakers. They fucking freeze the markets if they go down substantially in one day.
It's called the plunge protection team. There's a literal, I think, the Treasury. It's under the Treasury, I believe. I don't think.
Wait, that's not a meme. That's an actual team.
I'm pretty sure. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was. I don't know. I thought that was a meme. Like, they definitely have a team that is that. But I didn't think they went by plunge protection team.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so clown world. Epic clown world. Like, the markets don't. And this is like, I was discussing this last night too. Like, going back to my experience at the fund I worked at out of college. Like, I remember we were fund of funds, and so I was an analyst, and so we indexed other hedge funds, commodity trading advisors, and I had access to some of what are considered the most prolific traders, commodity trading advisor traders, CTAs, that usually use trend following and trade commodities. I had access to, like, some of the greatest traders that came out of what's called the Turtle program in the 80s. And I'd ask them, like, when I was 22, 23, like, do you think Fed policy is affecting equities prices at all? And they played dumb. I'm like, no. It's like, stop, people. Like, it's so
well, at least now
obvious.
people know it does, right? At least, like I think it's mostly accepted that Fed policy has a distinct impact on global markets.
Yeah, just think
right?
about it.
It's just people take the Fed's projected policy as gospel when it's bullshit.
Shout out to Kita for getting us. So the plunge protection team is. Can you go back to the last comment? I can't read. The plunge.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what they would call it.
Plunge protection team is colloquial name given to the working group on financial markets.
That's a classic bureaucratic name. The Working Group on Financial Markets.
Created in 1988.
Like the Patriot Act bullshit.
To provide financial and economic recommendations to the U.S. president. So yeah, I do think this falls under the Treasury.
Well, if Parker ever becomes mayor, I hope that I guess if he ever runs for federal office, like, I hope he passes a bill to rename them to the plunge protection team.
Yeah. So members include the chair of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, the chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the chair of the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. Yeah. Yeah. Like, just think about how insane it is, freaks. Like, global markets, equities markets specifically, supposed to be trading on the fundamentals of the companies. What product are you producing? What service are you providing? How profitable are you at taking the raw materials to make that product and then selling it to a customer base? Like, how are you managing your profits? Are you being a good steward of your shareholders' money by reinvesting it in the company or holding it in a cash balance sheet or investing it wisely? I think these are the things that should be driving equities markets. Instead, everybody has their eye on one man in the world, Jerome Powell, and what he's saying. It's so crazy that this is the state of the global economy, particularly more specifically the U.S. economy. But the U.S. economy affects everything, as we know. Like,
Yeah, it's even
insane.
more fucked up for the other people.
Yeah.
Because like at least like we have a group of corrupt Americans doing it here. Like they have a group of foreigners doing it in their economies. Because like what the U.S. does affects everybody.
Yeah. And and again, another thing discussed last. I think that's what really orange pilled me early on, back in those days, was when it came out. And I've said this on this podcast before. Like, there was a Fed meeting, and the market just like started skyrocketing after. And I was like an analyst. I'm like, why is this happening? And the algo traders had created algorithms that were trading off the color of Janet Yellen's jacket. She was wearing purple that day, and that was a regal color, strength, to show her strength. And so the algos took the color of her jacket and just started pumping markets, like just off what the fuck that old woman wore on that one day. This is the state of our global economy: currency markets, commodities markets, equities markets. It's all manipulated by the central. Like, think about how much control these people have. It's insane. Fix the money, fix the world. Buy Bitcoin.
Stay humble, stack sets.
Peace and love.